So I want to take a moment to discuss how many people's relationships to government and authority figures is akin to that of an abusive relationship. And this is a really important dynamic for us to awaken to as a collective, because we are being given the opportunity to end this toxic relationship dynamic once and for all, to see it for what it is, and to set the appropriate boundaries so that we can end this dynamic. And to give some context, we've been living in perpetual cycles of victimhood, of powerlessness, of codependency with governments and external control systems for millennia. And this imbalance between the masses and governments and authority figures has become really, really illuminated during this pandemic. So the extent and scale of this imbalance, of this abusive relationship, has been unmistakable to witness during this pandemic for those who are able to observe what is unfolding beyond mainstream media sensationalist headlines. So, as with all toxic relationship dynamics, there comes a point when we have to ask, when is enough enough? Where do we draw the line? Where do we say, you know what? This relationship dynamic no longer serves me. It hasn't served me for a long time. And I no longer choose to consent to it. I no longer choose to give my power away. I no longer choose to engage in this dynamic. And I choose to walk away. That is what humanity is being given the opportunity to do via this pandemic. This pandemic is really just the stage for us as a collective consciousness to awaken to the dysfunction and to move beyond it. To awaken to this deeply toxic, dysfunctional relationship dynamic and to choose a more conscious way of being moving forwards. And so as individuals, that is what we have to address within ourselves. How much do we blindly and willingly give our power away to governments, authority figures, or even other members of communities that we value, like spiritual communities? How much do we outsource our health, our state of well-being, our ability to make decisions, our ability to take responsibility to external sources? How much do we outsource the things that we have the capability to do for ourselves? This is the teaching that we are being given the opportunity to learn from. If we can see it for what it is, if we can see that this is a collective opportunity to end a cycle, a karmic cycle that has been at play for thousands and thousands of years, this is truly a critical juncture in our evolution. This is an unmistakable opportunity to change the very, very fabric of society. If we choose to stand, if we choose to stand in our sovereignty, if we choose to reclaim our power, if we choose to take responsibility for ourselves and stop outsourcing our ability to be healthy, to be well, to external sources. We are coming into spiritual maturity. We are going through the growing pains now of evolving from a collective state of adolescence and being juvenile, naive, ignorant even. We are growing now into spiritual maturity. And we are being tasked with the same things that a young person who's moving from childhood into young adulthood would have to face. That they are no longer able to fully be dependent or reliant on, or there is no need for them to be fully dependent or reliant on an external figure. They can do for themselves the things that they once relied on another for. That is the learning here. So I'll leave you with this. I want you to examine within yourself, really critically examine within yourself. How much do you tend to give your power away in any dynamic outside of yourself? How much do you tend to blindly trust and follow the directions of others, the insights of others, the information provided to you by others without questioning, without discerning, without sensing within yourself, does this feel right for me? How good are you at setting that boundary and saying, I don't agree with that. I don't consent to that. This doesn't serve me. This is the lesson we are being given, to individually recognize within ourselves how good we are at retaining our sovereignty, of claiming our power and standing in our truth and integrity. It's a huge lesson for humanity. It's a huge opportunity if we can meet it with awareness.